In this session, we will discuss how to organize a statistical survey. The basic steps of organizing which we need to follow when we are organizing a statistical survey will be discussed under this session. Prior to discuss about the important steps of organizing of a statistical survey, first we will have an idea about what is actually meant by a statistical survey. In here, in this note, it is given as investigation about the characteristic of a given population. Suppose that a population is given for you. We'll say this is a population we are having. We are having a population, and suppose that you wish to have an investigation about a certain characteristic of this population by means of collecting data. It means that suppose that you are a group of students, and in simply I'm taking this example. If I just just need to have an idea regarding the height of the students or the weight of the students, or simply I'll take BMI of the students. Then if I just need to have an idea regarding this BMI value for students in a student group, what I am having is I will have a student population, and what I need to do is I am collecting data based on this population. Generally, I am taking out a sample, but it is not necessary. Here I am taking a sample for the easiness of conducting the survey. Then what we are doing is I am collecting data based on this sample, and then estimating their characteristics throughout the systematic use of statistical methodology. Therefore, this concept is meant to be a statistical survey. Therefore, simply we can say that if you are having a population, and then if you need to have an idea, or if you need to perform and conduct an investigation about the defined characteristic on this population, then what you can do is you are taking out a sample and you are collecting data, and based on the collected data you are estimating their characteristic throughout the appropriate statistical technique. Therefore, this procedure is meant to be a statistical survey. When you are going to conduct a statistical survey, first thing you have to do, and the most important thing you have to have on this is the planning of this statistical survey. Otherwise, if you are not planning your statistical survey, once you come to the data analysis stage of your survey or your study, then you will be faced so many problems if you are not properly plan your survey. Okay, now we will move through the things which is mentioned under this planning of a survey. A well throughout plan is the most important element of a survey process of collection of data. This is what I have told you before also. When you are going to conduct a survey or conduct any study, first thing you have to pay your attention is well planning of the survey that you are going to perform. At this stage, when it is at the planning stage, it seems that the collection of data in the first step for any statistical survey. In general, we are saying that if you are having a statistical survey, we'll think that first step of the statistical survey is collection of data. But if it is a well-planned survey, collection of data may not be the very first stage, but prior to collection of these data, first we need to examine the preliminaries of the data collection. Therefore, prior to move for these data collections, it is actually what we have to do is actually we have to well plan our survey. Otherwise, if you are just saying that, okay, I am taking BMI values, then when if I take the same example which I have taken previously, here I am having a group of students, and I am going to calculate the BMI value for these students. Therefore, to calculate the BMI value, I need the height of the student and I need the weight of the student. And then when you are getting the height and weight, then you have to think about what are the measurements or what are the scales you are using for the taking the heights. You can use the meters, or for weight you can use the scale as the kilograms. Therefore, first you need to examine these preliminaries of this data collection. Otherwise, if you are just saying that, okay, I'm just asking BMI from the students, then they may not know about the BMI. It is because some students are not actually worrying about the BMI values. Therefore, in that situation, what we have to do is we have to collect or we have to calculate those BMI values. To calculate the BMI values in such scenarios, we need the height in meters and weight in kilograms. We need these data to calculate the BMI for a student. Therefore, rather than directly correcting the BMI values from the student, it would be better if you can measure the height and weight for each student and then obtain this BMI value for each student. Therefore, when you are conducting your survey, the most important thing and the most primary thing that you have to do is you have to have a well-planned survey. Now, once you are planning your survey, therefore, this is the main idea that I need to give you regarding planning of survey. That's why I have taken an example in this manner. And now we will move for to have an idea about the basic elements for any given survey. When we are going to conduct a survey, we should have an idea about these basic elements of any given survey. Okay, here I have mentioned the basic elements of survey. First, I have mentioned down six basic elements of any survey, and laterally I have elaborate each and every element which I have mentioned here. Therefore, we can consider these six elements are the most basic elements of any given survey. First element for this survey is objective of a survey. Then we should have an objective for our survey. Then we have to define the scope of our survey, or what are the limitations of our survey. And then you have to have what is the statistical unit you are using or the measuring unit you are using. Those things has to be defined by yourselves as the basic element of survey. Then you have to have an idea regarding sources of data. Then there should be a appropriate data collection method, and there should be a appropriate sample frame as well. Therefore, these six elements can be considered as the basic elements of a survey. But when we are going to conduct a survey, apart from these six elements, then after the data collection steps, then we are moving for the data analyzing procedure. If you are not plan your survey in a proper manner, then you will be trouble at the analyzing stage of data. It is because the test that you supposed to use there may not appropriate for the type of the data that you have collected. Suppose that if you wish to have an idea regarding a quantitative value, but you have just taken rather than measuring it, just you have measured it using a Likert scale, or else if you are using simply as a categorical using some type of a categorical scale. Therefore, in such situations, your idea may not be able to work out. It is because at the very first stage you have not planned your survey properly. Therefore, when you are at the planning stage, we have to pay our attention on these six elements. And apart from these six elements, there are some other elements. But for the planning stage, we have to have a very good idea regarding these six elements. Now we will go through each and every element which we have mentioned in here. The first element is the objective of survey. Statistical investigation may be a conduct to serve a general purpose on or special purpose rather than saying on. It should be corrected as or. This should be general purpose or special purpose. Or its objective should be clearly defined. The survey must be properly conducted with minimum possible waste of time and money. Okay. Now, if you focus on the objective of a survey, each and every survey that you are conducting, you should have an objective. Without having an objective, you cannot have a good survey. It is because somewhere else you will be faced with the trouble if you do not have an objective. It is because you do not know what you are going to do. Therefore, in such situations, again you will be at trouble. Therefore, first thing you have to have is you have to have an objective for the survey you are going to conduct. When you are going to have an objective for your survey, it can be a generic objective. It can be based on a general purpose, or we can say it as a generic objective, or else it can be a special objective for your survey. Suppose that you are just having an idea regarding the BMI values just for as what we are saying as the health status of the students. But suppose that due to in this time, what we are going to do is, suppose that if you are going to have you are going to have a survey regarding the vaccination for the COVID-19, or else if you just have an idea regarding, we can say it as whether a person has faced with this COVID-19 situation or these victims of this COVID-19 situation. Therefore, it is for a special purpose rather than just a generic value or general idea about their health. We are specialized about, or we are especially seeking about the status of the COVID-19 situation. Therefore, rather than the like that, we can have it as general purposes or the special purposes for any given survey. But anyhow, whether it is a general purpose or whether it is a special purpose, we have to clearly define our purpose. It is because the next important thing is, suppose that sometimes you are going to collect the data based on the questionnaire. Therefore, if you are supposed to distribute any questionnaire for a group of people, then in that questionnaire you have to mention that what is the goal of collecting this data, or for what purpose you are collecting the data. Therefore, if you wish to collect this data to calculate BMI, then you have to mention it in the questionnaire that you are collecting data. Or if you are measuring, then it is no problem, but you have to aware these people why you are collecting these data. Therefore, for the easiness of, or for the smooth going of this survey, conducting this survey, your objective should be clearly defined. And when you're conducting your survey, apart from this objective, your survey must be properly conducted with the minimum possible waste of time. Time wastages may be there. We cannot conduct a survey having the zero time waste. It is the general thing that we are facing when we are going to conduct the survey. Therefore, we have to minimize this waste of time as well as the waste of money. Therefore, these two things has to be keep in our mind when we are going to conduct a survey. And the next, if you move for the next objective, it can be considered as the scope of the survey. The scope of the survey should be decided with reference to the space, time, and number of items to be covered. Suppose that if you are taking the same example of calculating the BMI of the students. Suppose that if you are specialize it for the BMI of university students, rather than saying all the students in schools and high schools and those institutes, rather than saying taking all these measurements. You are just selecting your special objective is to have an idea regarding the BMI of the university student. Therefore, in this situation, what you can do is, in generally, we may face that if you are going to calculate BMI or have an idea regarding the BMI on the university students, what we can generally have is, generally we are, if you are going to calculate the data from the university students, it may be around 100,000 students. It may be around 100,000 students. But in this situation, we may not able to reach each of these 100,000 students and collect their height and weight. Therefore, in such situation, we have to limit our survey. It means that if we are taking a sample out of this 100,000, so suppose that we are taking a sample of 1,000 or 100. And simply we can say rather than 1,000 is also a very large value. Sometimes if we are able to do it, then we can do it, or else we will take a sample of 100. Then for these 100 students, we have to limit our survey. It is because if we are identifying a generalized sample from these 100,000 students as 100 or 1,000, then this generalized sample should reflect this entire quantity of 10,100,000 students characteristics as well. Therefore, what you can do is, apart from measuring the height and weight for these 100,000 students, you can measure the height and weight for these 1,000 students. Therefore, you have to limit your survey. Otherwise, suppose that if you are just living in Colombo, somewhat town area there, then you have to travel all over Sri Lanka to measure these things. Or else, what you have to do, the next thing is, then you have to set up an administrative team or some investigators, which is relevant for each university, and then you have to collect the data. Then it will be definitely a time consuming, and you must have much more amount of money to conduct a survey in this manner. Therefore, what we can do is, we have to first define the scope of our survey. Therefore, what we can do is, instead of this 100,000 students, we are taking a generalized sample of 1,000 students. And there are so many ways of identifying an appropriate samples based on this. Based on the number we are having. Therefore, using a proper technique, you have to identify, or you have to limit your observations that you are going to take out. Therefore, it may be because of the space that you are having. In simply think about, if you are going to conduct a survey regarding the yield of tomatoes. Suppose that you are doing an experiment of finding out an effect of a chemical or effect of a vitamin on the yield of some tomatoes. Therefore, in such situations, you cannot have 1 acre or 2 acre likewise. Therefore, if you are having a greenhouse or something like that, then you have to maintain, or you have to manage your research in this small area. Therefore, you have to think about space as well. What is the feasible space that I can use for this research? Sometimes there was for your study, sometimes there may be some parallel studies are going on. Therefore, inside the single nursery you are having, then in such situations you have to limit your survey, and for the time as well as the number of items to be covered. Therefore, basically, apart from that, we have to think the scope of a survey based on the money as well. Therefore, this is also a critical factor when you are going to conduct the survey. Therefore, when you are going to plan your survey, you should have a scope for your survey. And the next element of the survey is the statistical unit. The third point that we are going to discuss under the basic elements is the statistical unit. The investigation must determine units from which data have to be collected. Actually, this can be rather than saying in this way, in simply if I explain, suppose that if you are going to calculate the BMI, then I told that you need the height of the students and you need the weight of the student. Suppose that if you if one person is calculating the obtaining or measuring the weight by pounds, and other may say that I am measuring the weight by kilograms, and another may say that I am measuring the height of the student by inches, feet and inches. Then other may say that, oh, okay, I am using meters. Then another say that I am using centimeters. Therefore, there may be various units that they can use to measure or take the measurements. Therefore, in such situations, you have to define what is the statistical unit or what is the measuring unit that you need to take for the survey that you are conducting. Otherwise, suppose that if you are having two investigators, you are appointing two investigators for the survey. In such situations, suppose that one has taken the measurement using the meters and other has taken the measurement using the feet and inches. Therefore, in such situation, when you are going to this what we are saying as organizing this data, again you are having a problem. It is because prior to analyzing these data you have to organize them. In such situation, we have to again convert, or you have to have a unit conversion as well. Therefore, the best thing you can do is, first you have to identify what is the statistical unit that you are going to measure the data which is important for your study. And if you move for the next part, then the fourth part is the sources of data. The source of data in the word itself, it implies that from where you are going to obtain this data. When you are going to obtain the data, if you consider the source of data, generally we can have two types of sources we are having. We are saying them as primary data, and we can say next as the secondary data. We can say primary data and secondary data. The first hand data is supposed to be primary data. It is because in other words, suppose that a researcher is collecting data by the first hand sources. It means that in here I have mentioned several. If they are using the statistical methods or any survey or polls, interviews, Delphi techniques and focus group interviews, likewise, there can be primary data collection methods, and we will in detail discuss about these data collection methods in the latter parts. And this primary data is supposed to be the data which is collected by a researcher from first-hand sources. Suppose that for the first time you are collecting these, if you are supposed to have an idea regarding the BMI, then what the thing you can do is you can go to the field and you can measure the height for the student group you are selected, and weight for the student group you are selected. Therefore, if you are the person who is measuring this data, and or just suppose that you please do not take this misunderstand on this. It is because suppose that if you are conducting the research, this study, you can appoint some investigators on this matter. Therefore, by yours or your investigators, for the specific purpose of this study, if you are measuring this data, then this can be considered as the primary data. And the secondary data means that the data gathered from studies, surveys or experiment which have been run by other people or agency for any other research or any other purposes. Suppose that we can obtain such a using the financial reports, then sales report, then government reports, the mission details and mission statements, or these using the internet as well. But in simply, if I use this same example, suppose that you need to take the BMI, then what you can do is, then you can collect. If all these students has taken their medicals from the same place, then what you can do is, suppose that all these students are asked to take their medicals or these medical reports at the medical center, for a particular from a particular medical center. Therefore, generally they are having the data for the height and weight for each student. Therefore, using you can, if you can access the medical center, then you can collect the data from them. Therefore, in such situation, we can say this as the secondary data. It is because these data has not actually collected on the purpose of calculating BMI. They have collected these data for any other purposes, but you have access it to another study. Therefore, such data can be considered as the secondary data. Here, some data collection method for secondary data has also included here. But the most important thing that you have to follow when you are using secondary data is, first you have to grant the access or the permission from the relevant authorities and the relevant personnel who owns this data. Otherwise, you cannot use this data by your own thinking. Without the permission from these agencies or the people who own this data, you cannot access these data. Otherwise, it is you are violating the intellectual properties rights there. It is because they are the people who owns this data. Therefore, for whatever purpose that you are, it may be actually a general purpose or special purpose you are having, maybe a completely ethical, unethical if you are using the secondary data without knowing the people or the agency who are actually owns this data. Therefore, it is the next thing you have to keep in your mind. For the primary data, those are the data collected by yours for your research or your study, but for the secondary data are the data which owns by any other personnel or agency, and they have collected it for a special purpose or any other purpose other than your study. But sometimes those data can be reused for your research or the study as well. But you can access these data, even though it is freely accessed, then you have to inform them, and sometimes you have to cite the relevant sources that you have obtained. At least you have to do that thing. Okay, then if you move for the next objective or the element, it is the method of data collection. Here we have identified that the sources of data we are having. Sources of data. Then we have divided it into two categories as primary and secondary data. And here we will consider about the method of data collection. Here also we can say that there are two ways of, not the two data collection methods. We can actually categorize these data collection methods into mainly two categories. First one is the census method and the next one is the sample method. We are saying the census method as the complete enumeration method, and sample method is called as the partial enumeration method. If I brief about the census method, if all the units or the population, if all the units of the population under study are considered, it is called the census inquiry, or what we are saying as the census method. It is simply like that. Suppose that if you are taking the entire population for your study, then it is considered as the census method. It is for a 5 years, once for a 5 years time. In Sri Lanka also, they are having a census survey. They are counting how many people are living in Sri Lanka in that year. Therefore, they are taking the data from each and every element within the population. Therefore, that can be considered as a census survey. But due to some limitations, if you cannot cover the census survey, then what you can do is you can identify a random sample. Therefore, using a census or using a population, You are taking a random sample and then you are collecting the data based on the random sample you have selected. But when you are selecting a random sample from a population, there are defined way, and using an appropriate technique, you have to define the sample, and thereafter you have to collect the data from this sample. If I brief about the sample method, we are saying it as the partial enumeration method as well. If only representative part of the population is studied and some representative units are selected, it is called sample survey. This is what I have explained previously also. If you are taking a part of a population or a part of a census, then it can be considered as a sample. And if you are collecting your data based on the sample and making inferences, then this method is called as the sample method, or it can be considered as the partial enumeration method. And the next element that we are considering is the sampling frame. A list of all units under a study is known as the sampling frame. It is important to have the identity of the units which constitute population for instance. Therefore, the next element that we are considering here is the sampling frame. It is actually a list of all units under a study which we are knowing as a sampling frame. Now we will move for the next part. Here we will see how to execute a survey, and thereafter we will discuss about, I will briefly say about data collection methods. And first, if I move for the execution of survey, first thing you have to, these are the steps actually we have to follow when we are execute a survey. It is because suppose that we have already suppose that we have already planned our survey. After the planning stage, then you have to execute the survey. Therefore, what we can follow is we have to follow all these steps properly. The first step is, if you are going to execute a survey, you have to set up an administrative team. It is because suppose that you are a company or an organization. If you are going to execute some work, then you have to take some permission, and you have to therefore, if you need to take these permissions, then it would be really easy if you are having a proper administration team. As well as, suppose that if it is somewhat a large study that you are going to conduct, then you have to appoint some responsible person for each area that you are going to collect the data. As an example, suppose that if you are taking this university system, and if you are taking if you are just measuring this height and weight, therefore you cannot go to all the universities, all universities in the country. Therefore, in such situation, what you can simply do is you can appoint an administrative person for a single university. Therefore, that person has to take responsibility, and then that person has to be collected data on behalf of you. Therefore, first thing is you have to set up an administration team, and then you have to design the forms and the questionnaires if it is needed. Suppose that in the example which I have taken for calculation of BMI, I told that you have to measure the height and the weight of the student. But suppose that the majority of the students may know about the actual height and weight. Therefore, in such situation, rather than wasting time on measuring those things, you can just have a very simple form and just ask them to fill this form. But if you are performing somewhat study for a special objective, then in that situation, what you can do is you can distribute a questionnaire, including sometimes there may be a set of questions, 10 or 20 questions may be there. Therefore, in such situation, you have to have one questionnaire. If you just brief about the questionnaire, it is actually a set of questions which is related for our study, and which are the in the question type we are collecting the data which needs for our study. Suppose that when you are designing a questionnaire, I'm just taking this as a general example. Suppose that some are saying that if you are having this social research, then first thing they are asking about whether the person's gender. Those are the generally we are not taking their names. If it is anonymous, then we can say it as the gender of that person. Then you have to ask about the civil status, whether it is whether it is single or married. After this question, you can ask if married. If married, then number of children you are having. But think about what will happen if you are shifting these two questions. Suppose that if you first ask number of children you are having, and then you ask what is the civil status, then it is really embarrassing for the respondent. It is because you have not followed the proper order for setting up your question. Therefore, we have to avoid these types of scenarios when we are designing these questionnaires. Therefore, this is I have taken a small example just to give you a general idea regarding about the general type of errors that the people are doing when they are designing questionnaires. Therefore, if you have designed your questionnaire properly, then it will be easy for you as well as for the respondent. Otherwise, the people are reluctant to respond. It is because there is no any logical order. They have to go here and there. Then again, asking civil status. Then suppose that if it is asked about the age, suppose then rather than asking about age, then if it is asked the age, then that person has to calculate the age. Rather than asking about age, it is better to ask the date of birth. Then we can calculate what is the age of that person at the date of that we are performing the analysis based on this data. Otherwise, suppose that if you have just obtained this data from a secondary source, then what we do not know what is the date that they have collected this data. It may be a survey which runs throughout 2 or 3 years time period. Therefore, in that situation, we may have somewhat wrong values for age. It is because for the suppose that if it is running from 2020 to 2022, likewise, simply if you are taking this COVID situation, rather than asking about the age of that person, it is better to take it as date of birth. It is because sometimes if you are taking one question from the year of 2020 and another may be taken at 2022 or 21, then if it is even though it is the same person, then if this person is at age of 38, then at that time that person may be have a age 40. Therefore, it may not be a proper way for designing questionnaires. Therefore, we have to avoid this type of questions. Therefore, when you execute a survey, you have to design your forms and questionnaires properly. And the next thing is selection and training of field investigators. It is because when we this is the next important thing. It is because if you are the person who is initiating this survey, but you may not be able to go to each and every place to collect these data. Therefore, on behalf of you, you have to send some investigators to the field. Therefore, when you are sending the investigators, first of all, you have to select what are the people who are eligible to have this take this job on behalf of you. Therefore, first of all, you have to select them, and then you have to train them on the field that they have to work on. Suppose that if you are just having a study regarding some this biology or anything related with biosystems or pathology or something like that, Suppose that you are asking it from an investigator who does not have that much of background in or that much idea in biology. Therefore, in such situations, you and the person who are selected by you also be in trouble. It is because once you send that person to the field, then that person may not know what are the data that they have to collect or what are the methods that they have to use. Therefore, the selection is not the only thing you have to do. You have to train your investigators as well. It is because they are collecting data on behalf of you. Even though those people are collecting those data on behalf of you, you are still taking the primary data. Therefore, if you are not giving a good training on them, then they will not be able to give a good output for you as well. The next thing is, suppose that if it is a worldwide survey, then sometimes there are some regions only specific ethnic groups are living in that region. Therefore, rather than selecting about the world, just selecting a single country, as our country, there are some regions where only specific ethnic groups lives in that region. Therefore, if you are going to that region, then you should have to have a very good idea regarding their languages. Therefore, in such situation, you have to have a good training for your investigators as well. And then the next thing you have to do is, suppose that you have sent your investigators to the field, but don't wait until they are coming back to you and say there are some errors and there are some less respondents. Those things. Therefore, what you have to do is you have to have a regular supervision on the field work. Otherwise, we do not know whether they are actually collecting the correct data, or sometimes some people, even though we have selected them as good people and even though we have given them a good training, with their genes, sometimes they may be try to cheat for us. Therefore, in such situations, we may not get correct data for our study. Therefore, in such situation, what you have to do is you have to have a good supervision on the field work. And then suppose that you have had a training on the investigators, then you have supervised their field works, and then they are coming to you with the set of data that they have collected. Therefore, at that situation, you have to check for is there any non-responses. Suppose that if you are just giving a form to fill by the respondent, and if some person just skip 2 or 3 questions, then you have to contact them back and you have to ask for the answers for those questions as well. Therefore, for the non-responses, you have to follow it. Then at this point, then we can say that we have completed our data collection. Therefore, actually, these are the things that we have to follow up to the step of data collection. It is because you have to have an administrative team, and then you have to have a good questionnaire. It means that you have to design it properly. Then you have to select your field workers and train them. Then you have to supervise them, and you have to follow the non-responses from the respondents. After this data collection, what you have to do is you cannot say that, okay, I have collected the data and my survey is finished now. No, it is not the way. It is because you had an idea or you had an objective at the very beginning. The collecting data is not may not be your idea. It is because you must have an idea regarding BMI. In the simple example which I have taken, in that situation, if you have just measured the height and weight, it may not, it is not your ultimate goal of your study. Therefore, what you have to do is you have to process your data. And simply you can just use the equation to calculate BMI, and then you have to calculate the BMI for each and every student. You can use a software or manually you can perform that calculation. Then you can analyze those data. Therefore, it is because if you are a statistician, good statistician, you have to analyze these data. Otherwise, you cannot say that okay, this is the maximum BMI that which I have observed. This is the minimum, and then I have finished my study. No, it is not like that way. You have to have a good statistical analysis for the data, and it is not enough. It is because once you have analyzed, then you have to you have to express your ideas and your findings. Therefore, preparation of report and preparation of presentation and those things, or having any publications like that, you have to do all these things. Therefore, when you execute a survey, you have to collect these data, then you can have to process, analyze these data, and then as the last part of the your survey, you have to give your give an idea or give your outcomes of your study for the general people. It is because sometimes we are using government fundings for these surveys and these research. Therefore, actually, it may be the money which are taken as the taxes from other people. Therefore, if we are making any findings, then those people also, who are the people who are saying as the taxpayers for us, then they should have, or they are having the right to know what we have found. Therefore, you have to report it, or you have to present it in a manner that every person can understand, or in simply you have to present it in an understandable way. Therefore, this is the way that you are executing a survey. And I told you that when you are using these steps and at the execution of survey, then for this data collection, we will use several methods. And these methods are not common for each and everything to collect the data. There are some techniques can be used as the common technique, simply as taking or this filling the questionnaires likewise. But apart from that, what we have to do is there are some special or specific methods that we have to use, rather than sometimes we have to use case studies. Therefore, if anything has happened, or if anything is being happened, then you cannot just go and there and ask for any questionnaires to be filled. Therefore, in such situations, what you can do is based on case studies, we have to collect data. And for experimental methods, suppose that if you are just performing some experiment using chemicals and so-called things, then in such situations, you cannot just ask to fill a form. What you have done, therefore, they have to do it, and then they have to obtain the results, rather than filling the form is not important in such situation. Therefore, there are data collection methods, and you have to identify what is the appropriate data collection method for the statistical survey that you are undertaking. Therefore, here I have mentioned several data collection methods. Actually, 10 data collection methods are included here. If I brief about each of them, then questionnaires filled by the respondent. It means that you are distributing the questionnaires for the respondents, and you are asked them to fill these questionnaires to collect the data. The next method is questionnaires to fill by the investigators. In here, what you are doing is you are appointing set of investigators, and then you are giving the questionnaires to them, and then you are asked them to fill by fill these questionnaires by discussing and gathering the information by the study group, the group that you are having for the study. And then interviews, it can be direct or indirect interviews. Therefore, if you have an this say that if it is a set of students, then you can take each of student one by one, and then you can have an interview with that student, and then you can grab all the necessary data for your study. And then focus group interviews. Here actually it is another part of these interviews. These two are focus group and telephone interviews. Focus group means if you are just having a group which is if we simply we can say that if you are first identifying a specific group of people or specific sample, and then we will have the interviews for them. The next thing is the telephone interviews. Just because sometimes you may not able to reach for each and every person, therefore in such situations to have an interview, in such situations we can have the telephone interviews in there. Then observation method, it means simply you are observing and you are collecting data. Then experimental method, you are performing an experiment or conducting an experiment, and then you are taking down the results. Then case studies, based on case studies and the reports you are having, you can collect the data. And the next thing is diaries and portfolios. Therefore, with the prior approval of this, the person who owns their diaries, then you can collect the data and as the portfolios as well. And this is all what I need to discuss for the general things under the how to organize a survey. And thank you all for participating with this session.